Hi, I'm Jennifer Erickson. I'm the judging coordinator for SA Best. And in this video, I'll be going over the marketing presentation guidelines following the judging rubric. So, a marketing presentation is where you actually try to sell your robot to the judges. The robot and the game are a simulation of a real life challenge that your robot is supposed to combat. Keeping this in mind, we expect you to create a marketing presentation that convinces your judges that they should buy your robot over all of the other robots. You will need to take into consideration real life things that a company would have to consider, such as your company's message, the design features of your robot and what makes it better than other robots, your pricing model, and what training and warranty you will provide to your client after they make the purchase. In this overview, I'll go over some tips, then I'll cover each section of the scoring rubric, including the company overview, the product features, the business offer, and the business professionalism section. And then lastly, we'll refer you to a couple of links that might help you create this part of the competition. So, as with the other areas of the competition, we highly recommend that your marketing presentation follow the score sheet rubric in order. This makes it very easy for the judges to know what you're presenting and know that you've completed every section of the competition um, marketing presentation. It's also very helpful to label your sections of your marketing presentation as they are labeled in the rubric. The other thing is to prioritize which sections you spend the most time on, both in creating and presenting your marketing presentation, based on how many points that section is worth. The first section in the scoring rubric is the company overview. It's worth 7.5 points, and it consists of seven different categories. The first category is the organization. This is where you present who's on your team and highlight their diverse skill sets, their various diversity in ages and backgrounds. The next section is your mission statement, um, and then your brand promise. What I want to point out that sometimes can be very confusing is to make a clear distinction between what your mission statement is and what your brand promise is. A lot of students don't make a clear distinction. They might label them as the mission statement and brand promise, but actually separating them from each other can be a challenge. So just keep in mind that the mission statement is a statement of the purpose of your organization. It captures the culture and value and ethics that your company is portraying. And your brand promise is the value that you're creating. It's the value that your robot and that your company creates. So one is about culture, value, ethics, the purpose of your company, and then the other is about the value that you create. The fourth section is visual identity. So this is where we're looking for you guys to really visually identify your brand and your mission using logos and color schemes. And so consistently creating that branding that is identifiable as your company. Next is your public image. This is where you talk about your company's efforts to publicize your engagement in the SA Best competition. How have you given back to the community? And how did you reach both internal and external audiences? Internal being within your school and organization, and external being within the broader community. In this particular public image section, be sure that you're including both best and sponsor logos. Additionally, in the company overview, we have the budget section. This budget section is for you to clearly present what funding you have earned, if any. If you do not have any fundraising and if you don't have any other additional funds provided, you should simply denote that your funding is zero. However, for expenses, you should clearly denote how much you spent on your robot. This means you should research your actual market or store prices to estimate the materials that best provided to you. So, for example, if it's plywood, then you should go look online or go to your local hardware store and see how much it would cost to purchase the plywood provided to you um, if you were to buy it yourself. And do the same for all the other materials that have been provided to you. If you have costs beyond the provided materials, you should also denote the different types of expenses. And you should consider your employee costs. What is a reasonable rate for the various business and engineering team members on your team? Um, and then you can then use those prices that you've gathered to estimate how much expense you incurred to actually create this robot, even if you only use the materials provided to you through SA Best. And then, this is where you should also identify whether your company what it takes for your company to operate in the black, right? If you are, under if you've gone into debt basically to create your robot, what is it gonna take you? How many robots do you have to sell, in order for you to be in the black? The last portion of the company overview is the company's sustainability. This is how you explain how is your company going to continue through the next year. So some examples of this is how have you enriched your workforce through employee development and training? What have you done to ensure that your team size is maintained or that it grows within the next year? And what recruiting efforts have you done and how successful do you think that they've been? So within your school, within your team, how are you sustaining the SA Best competition and ensuring that you have an SA Best team next year? Section 2 is the product features. It's the entire portion of product features is worth 7 points. It includes task knowledge, meeting requirements, differentiation, and visual aids. Task knowledge. So in this section, you're really demonstrating that you understand the rules and the tasks that are required to score using your robot. It demonstrates that you understand the problem as outlined in the game story and your client's priorities and requirements. The second section, meeting requirements, also worth 2 points, is based on your task knowledge. Explain how you designed your robot to take into consideration the various tasks and features that various tasks that your robot has to complete and how those features actually enable you to translate those capabilities within your robot into actions on the field and how those actions then solve the client's problems. This is something that you should really consider at the very beginning, even during your brainstorming process. You need to really think about what are the requirements before you even start prioritizing what features your robot will have. The next part is differentiation. So this is where you think about what aspects of your robot really make your robot unique and how your implementation of those features will make your robot better than the competition. This is really where you drive home to the judges you're selling uh, the aspects of your robot that ensure that your robot is the best robot to buy. Lastly are the visual aids. And so we're really looking for you guys to make sure that you're leveraging visual aids to communicate your product design, your features, your functions, and effectiveness. So this could be diagrams, these can be photos, these can be, you know, anything that you can use to visualize how your robot performance is better than the competition's. Section 3 is where you actually make the business offer. It is worth 5 points. This is where you include the sales price, your aftermarket support, and provide the formal offer. For the sales price, this is where you use the actual costs that you analyzed in your budget in previous sections and You determine what is a reasonable sales price. Be sure to itemize and organize your cost breakdown. Include your sales model. So, how many robots are you selling? Is it sold per unit? Do you get a discount if we buy in bulk? And be very clear to articulate the final price of your offer. Aftermarket support is where you detail if you have a warranty, what's included in the warranty, what training is provided, if there's maintenance offered. And so for each of these things, the warranty, the training, the maintenance, any other services associated with your robot that you want to provide, you need to articulate what they are, for what duration, what's included in each of those offerings, and then is there an additional price or is it included in the purchase price? And then last but not least, please don't forget to actually formally offer the judges an opportunity to purchase your robot. So be clear, and verbally and visually what you're offering them at what price. Um, and so that's an easy way to get that half a point. The fourth section is business professionalism, worth 5.5 points. It includes mechanics, endorsements, professional, and creativity. For mechanics, this is where you're ensuring that you have no fewer than four presenters and no more than eight. If you do have a team smaller than four, that will be taken into consideration. But if you have at least four, all four people should present. And if you have more than eight, you must choose only eight individuals to present. And every single one of those individuals must speak. And please don't interrupt each other. It is very rude, to think that you can do a better job than the person who's been designated to speak for that portion of the presentation. So be very professional and polite to your peers when presenting and make sure everybody has their chance to speak. Be sure to dress in professional business attire. This means things that are not too showy, things that are, appropriate business attire, for a professional setting. You may also dress in theme if you choose to do so. It's important that only students participate in the setting up, the breaking down, and the presenting. So no teachers, no coaches, no parents, only students can actually set up, take down, and present. And then again, be sure that you're abiding by your time restrictions. Make sure you're practicing. You have a total of 25 minutes to set up and break down, to present, and allow the judges to ask you questions. So be sure that you're leaving yourself enough time to do all of those tasks. Teams must continuously present for a minimum of 10 minutes. That means that you have to have at least 10 minutes of content, in your presentation before you can go to questions or any other portion of the marketing presentation. Additionally, we're looking for you to include endorsements. So these are testimonials from teachers, sponsors, peers, people in your community, whoever you can get to provide feedback and support that you conducted your research process, that you had outcomes from participating in this competition and building this robot, and your robot's overall performance. So we're looking for support from um, someone besides those members that are in your company on your team to provide feedback on the quality and process that you went through to build this robot. As I mentioned earlier, when you're presenting, please be sure that you're professional, that you're speaking clearly and loudly enough for the judges to hear you. Be sure that you're not rushing or going too slow or saying too many ums or other filler words. Um, and there was an from me, right? Don't do that. Make sure that you're being professional, that you're not interrupting other presenters, as I mentioned before, that you're being responsive to questions that the judges are asking. And the next section is creativity. For creativity, we're looking that you are trying to inject creativity into every aspect of your marketing presentation, from the design of your presentation, the design of your robot, from your solution execution, your game strategy, your presentation, and your visual aids. So, anywhere where you guys thought that you were particularly creative in designing and building your robot or your presentation, point that out. Last but not least, we have a couple of support links for you. So you should be make sure that you're familiar with the rules and all of the guidelines around the marketing presentation. Here's this link from bestrobotics.org. Additionally, in a subfolder to the rules, there are the score sheets. So be sure to go out to the score sheets folder where you can download this marketing rubric. And then last but not least, there are now entrepreneurship courses available at bestedu.bestrobotics.org. If you go to courses and search for entrepreneurship, you'll find an entire course catalog of videos and materials that you can review to help you do better on your marketing presentation. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the competition.